Talk about another classic album. This album I've also listened to plenty of times. Enema of the State by Blink-182, a pop punk classic. If you are a pop punk listener, an avid pop punk fan of any sort, you have listened to Enema of the State. If you haven't, change that as soon as possible and go listen to it. It's regarded as one of the all-time classics for pop punk, and it's just become a overall classic album in general. I know people who don't listen to a lot of pop punk who have listened to Enema of the State and absolutely love it and consider it to be a classic album. I decided to revisit Enema of the State. I was very curious. I was like, man, it had been a while. Again, same thing. It had been a while. I just hadn't listened to it in a while. Classic album. Let me tell you, man. Going back to listen to it, there's a lot of things about it that I really like. Like, it feels like it is an album that just, it goes. It starts off and it just says, let's keep fucking going. Personally, something I'm a bit of a sucker for, and it tells me that when I hear this in an album, it feels like the album was crafted with intention, and it wasn't just, we wrote a bunch of songs and then just chose an arbitrary order that we felt was right. The thing I like the most is that when one song ends, it ends on something that leads into the other song. Two examples, when they go from Aliens Exist to Going Away to College, I think is one, where it's like there's a guitar swell, like it just, a guitar strums a chord, it holds it, and it swells up in volume, and then it goes into this like clean guitar strumming, which is, I think, for Going Away to College. And then also from Going Away to College to What's My Age Again, they do a transition in there where it's like a chord is being held, and then plucked guitar part that everyone knows from What's My Age Again starts getting played. Adam's song into All the Small Things, those are all transitions. And to me, when I hear that put in an album, it tells me you crafted this album with intention. You purposely put these songs in this order because, whatever your reasoning might be. It shows you didn't just decide, let's write 12 songs, put them on a CD and call it a day. Like you wanted to, craft like an experience of some sort for your listener. How, intentional that was, up to debate. Only the artist will ever know. There's only so much we can say with definitive confidence. I've talked about this before. One of the things I liked about both like A Day to Remember and Tupperware Remix Party's newest albums, they have a genre, they have a sound that it's very much theirs, but they have a way of being able to write songs in that style and within that sound and feel, but they're not too similar that it feels boring to listen to. Blink-182 is one of those bands that really fits that. Like, while every song has that pop punk feel, and it's like, oh, yep, this is a pop punk song, this is definitely a Blink-182 song, every song feels different. It feels just different enough. It feels like something is changed, just enough is different that it's interesting to listen to and it keeps your attention. I think the other thing that helps with that too is the fact that with 12 songs, Enema of the State only clocks in at 35 minutes. That album does not overstay its welcome. You are kind of in and out of that within the time it takes to sometimes watch an episode of The Simpsons or something. I think that's what makes Enema of the State interesting, and why it was well received is that it's like, yeah, it's the same pop punk sound, and it's Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus being fucking, morons the whole time with, the lyrical content, while everything they sing about is still, fairly serious, and it's not anything to joke about it. They take everything in a joking manner. That makes sense. We could look at Dysentery Gary is like, it's about a breakup. They still kind of are silly about it. Tom DeLonge is still silly. He's kind of childish about it. Like, he just says like, fuck this place, your mom's a whore. Like, it's like, yeah, he's angry, but like, it's not like ruthless anger. It's not like it was like, fuck you, but like in a goofy way. That makes sense. Granted, it doesn't help that, one of the most popular songs on there is What's My Age Again. Not the most popular song on there. The most popular song is easily All the Small Things, period. That's just not a debate. What's My Age Again is that's such a silly song. He's just like talking about prank calling people and saying all this weird shit, like, calling his girlfriend's dad, like mom, and saying, this is your husband. Don't you know that sodomy is illegal, or the state looks down upon it? We shouldn't do that. And then they're like, you realize we have caller ID, right? You're an idiot. And then they hang up. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it's all this weird shit. And on top of that, the music videos that all these songs have. What's My Age Again is the band running around naked while a bunch of stuff happens around them. All the Small Things was them making fun of boy band groups like Backstreet Boys and stuff, and NSYNC and all the pop songs and all the pop artists of the time while singing about a love song. Like All the Small Things is meant to be a love song about, I think, Tom DeLonge's girlfriend at the time. It's funny how it's like almost like a serious album. I almost wonder if like Blink-182 wanted it to be considered a serious album, and just because of their image and like their gimmick and just the way they delivered everything, it was considered like a joke album. I guess they kind of changed that when after they released their self-titled album. Hell, yeah, just such a classic album from front to back. It's an album I can definitely listen to front to back. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It does a good job of being just goofy enough, but still having these like relatable lyrics. Like you have a song like Don't Leave Me where Mark Hoppus he's singing about a breakup and saying like how he doesn't want to be left alone. He's, and following up with lyrics like don't let the door hit your ass. And it's just like the way he delivers these lines. It's almost comedic in nature. It's a pretty serious song, but I think Enema of the State's like this weird hybrid thing where it almost like it brought people in with the silliness. Like people decided, they came for the silliness and the wackiness that is Blink-182, but they stayed for like the seriousness of the lyrics. Like while the delivery was kind of silly and fun and enjoyable, just all about, it was just punk rock as fuck and with a little bit of a pop twist to it, having the synth keyboards and everything in there, and even the piano in some songs. I truly think it was like the lyrical content in those songs is what kept people around. Because there's one thing I've learned over time, and that's it happens even to me, is that lyrical content, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, I think truly it does affect a person's ability to enjoy an album. Whether an album sticks with them, essentially. Sometimes I actually don't even think it's like the personal relates to it. I think the audience member just listens to the song and hears the true raw emotion in the singing or the play style or the music or something, and that's what brings them in. But I mean, I think Blink-182 really helped develop a sound. Like for generations to come, they would want to replicate or make a similar sound. There's so many bands nowadays that if you asked them, who are you inspired by, they would say Blink-182. And say, what's some of your favorite albums? Then they would either say, the self-titled album, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, or they would say Enema of the State. More than likely, Enema of the State was one of the ones. It was just such an influential album. First song I ever heard by Blink-182, and the only song I knew by them for a long time, was All the Small Things. And eventually I sat down and listened to Enema of the State, and I liked it. And the fact that every time I come back to it, I go, damn, this is still a solid album. It's still really good. You can still listen to it. Part of it being that it's only 35 minutes. It really just feels like something bite-sized you can get into and you're done with it, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It does what it needs to do and then gets out. And just the legacy it's created. Some people regard it as the best pop punk album of all time. I guess one other thing I'll add, it's cool how different the songs can be. They only have one, I guess, slow song in there, and that's Adam's song. But it really helps, I think, just even the one slow song, especially for it being only a 35-minute album. This one slow song in there really helps it breathe. And the best part about Adam's song is it's track number 7. So halfway through the album, let's assume this was pressed on vinyl. You are literally let's assume the first 6 songs were pressed on side 1 and the last 6 were pressed on side 2. That first side, you're going to listen and be like, oh yeah, we're going ham, we're going crazy. Here's all this like punk rock feel to it, with slight tempo variation. But you flip over side 2 and you start that first song and it's this slow like guitar, arpeggiated guitar chord with a piano backing it. You're going to be like, whoa, am I still listening to the same album? This doesn't seem like it's the same album. I think it really helps. That's what helps make this album so interesting to listen to. The slight variation. It's as simple as one song. One song was different and it helped put it together. The other things that I think helped put it together, something I learned recently while doing a little bit of research on this album. Prior to Enema of the State, they had a different drummer, and that drummer did, I think, 2 albums with Blink-182, maybe an EP or two. I forget exactly. They kicked that drummer out, got Travis Barker instead. He was a touring member, and then they added him to the band. So Enema of the State was his first album recording. And what I found interesting was that Travis Barker was the one who actually recommended when they started writing Enema of the State. He was like, hey guys, I think rather than doing essentially the same tempo and having this upbeat feel and upbeat like intensity, we should change it up and change the tempos. He literally just recommended, he's like, let's change the tempo. Let's not make it the same tempo for every song. It'll help make the album interesting and make it much more fun to listen to. It worked because they definitely, you can hear it in the album. It's like every song, it's never two tempos that are the same in a row. I think that's what really helps to separate these songs and help them feel like different songs, even though they have the same general feel to them, the same general sound and like timbre. It's this tempo change that helps it, like the defining factor, the thing that really ties it together, just glues everything together, is having that song, Adam's song, having that be the 7th track, like halfway through, ties the whole thing together, really pieces it together and makes it this cohesive experience. So I think that's the interesting thing about Enema of the State. I don't think I have much else to say about it, but to cap off Enema of the State, there's a reason it's a classic. There's a reason people like it so much. If you ask me, is it one of my favorite albums of all time? So personally, I don't think it's one of my all-time favorites, but definitely an album I come back to. I always come back to it. It's an album I like listening to. It's a fantastic album. For those of you who haven't listened to it, somehow haven't listened to it, go listen to it. Or if you're interested in like the pop punk genre and just didn't know where to start, there's your jumping off point right there. Enema of the State. Go take a listen to that and go ahead and jump full force into the pop punk sphere. I don't know. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Remember, at the end of the day, you're listening to music. Fucking have fun. You don't have to be such a stickler about it. If you don't like something, then just be like, hey, I don't like that. Move on with your life and go find some other stuff that you like instead. And if you do like it, sweet. Party hard. That's my philosophy. I learned quite a few songs on guitar from Enema of the State. I think, you know what? Here, I can give you an exact number, actually. I can tell you which ones I've learned. I don't remember them anymore. Don't ask me if I can play them, because I don't remember them. 5 of the 12 songs I knew how to play on guitar. I think. I don't remember for sure.